what do you think? Which of those samples use a lot of subglottal pressure, which means a lot of lung pressure, and which of the samples did use just a bit subglottal pressure? Why we wanna talk about this topic? The reason is that it's very useful skill for singer, especially for singers who use conscious active support technique, that kind of where you activate, let's say, muscles around your abdomen, diaphragm, and sometimes muscles of the back or the rib cage muscles to kind of support the voice while you are phonating. And why it's beneficial in that situation? The reason is because we very often tend to, when we support the voice actively, we tend to kind of change hand in hand both the support muscle activity and also the activity that controls subglottal pressure. And the problem with that is, for instance, when we are aiming to sing higher towards the register break and above, hey, yeah. If we try to do that in a way that we only like every time when we add support, we kind of also add subglottal pressure, we might end up in a situation when we're getting kind of stuck at the register break area. We're trying to sing across it by applying more and more subglottal pressure, and then usually this can happen. Hey, 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 hey. You're kind of hanging in the edge of the ability of your instrument to kind of handle the subglottal pressure. When we are using too much subglottal pressure and pushing too much airflow, it gets very difficult for these muscles here to maintain a situation where they can optimize the phonation and find the exact very precise tuning here to kind of sing through the register break and higher. So what is useful for you to learn to do if you don't know how to do this is to kind of be able to separate the action that you're doing with your support muscles from the action of kind of pushing the air out of the lungs. Well, how to do that? There's one great exercise for that, and this one actually I kind of I have taken this from this one type of kind of scientific way of measuring subglottal pressure. You see, when in the laboratory environment, when we measure subglottal pressures, either in normal speakers or singers, we use this kind of equipment where we measure actually the subglottal pressure from the mouth. And how that can be done is we use this type of pa 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 syllable repetition pattern with 5 syllables that each have this consonant p, p between every vowel, basically. And the idea is that during the consonant P there is no airflow through the instrument, and sort of the pressure inside our lungs and in our mouth cavity become the same. So we can actually measure the pressure from our mouth, and that pressure quite precisely reflects the pressure within our lungs. And what I've noticed when doing this in our laboratories, that I kind of noticed that, wait a minute, this is pretty interesting. I can actually get an idea how much I'm using subglottal pressure by just phonating this way. Pa 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 pa, or I can go pa 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 pa, pa 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 pa. And you sort of are you're sort of able to kind of sense the amount of pressure actually against your lips also during the syllable repetitions. And now you can try it. Let's actually do it without any vowel sound. Let's just kind of whisper in this way. And do it very gently, very lightly. Couple of times. And then let's increase some effort or energy to it. Let's make it like this. Pa, 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 pa. Pa, 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 pa. And then even more. Pa, 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 pa. Pa, 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 pa. So you might be noticing that you're actually kind of pressing your lips a little bit more against each other's, and you feel the pressure build up against your lips a little bit more when you're going with more energy. And the difference is not necessarily like very, very big, but still you kind of get an idea when you might be using a little bit less subglottal pressure and then again a little bit more subglottal pressure. Now let's do the same thing with sound. Let's start with very soft lip action. Ba 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 ba. Then let's sing with more energy. Ba 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 ba. And then even more. Ba 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 ba. And what you are noticing probably at this point, the kind of the volume correlates very much with the action that we have to do with our lips and the sensation of pressure against our lips. So the first thing is that what actually correlates pretty straightforwardly with subglottal pressure is the volume, especially if we maintain same type of sound quality all the time. And for the kind of the last variation of the exercise, try doing very loud. You can do it like ba only once, like start by blowing some like you would be blowing some air against your lips, like really building up some pressure against your lips, so you really get the idea how the subglottal pressure feels inside your lungs. Very good. Okay, now let's get back to the idea of support. However you are using your support, you can now try to sort of sing or phonate with different combinations of support activity and subglottal pressure. And what is a good way to start this is actually go very much into other extreme with the support activity and then into the other extreme with the subglottal pressure action. So what we will be doing, however you are using your support muscles in this exercise, whether it's just activating these muscles you use for lifting, or whether you sort of draw your abdomen inwards or push it outwards, or whether you push your sides outwards, whatever you do, now you can do this with a little bit more effort, and at the same time let's try to maintain very small subglottal pressure, and let's also keep the volume quite low. So we would be ending up with something like this. Ba 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 ba. You can try singing some kind of melody if you like. Ba 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 be 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 be. So the idea is that you should notice quite a bit work in your support muscles and very little work between your lips. Okay, then we can try turning it upside down, and let's use very minimal support activity and a lot of subglottal pressure. So we would be doing something like ba 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 ba. Really let your lips do some work and try to maintain quite relaxed support muscles. You can do your support thing, but do it with kind of very gentle effort. Let's try it. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. And you can see that actually immediately affects your sound quality. It's very hard to do use a lot of subglottal pressure while maintaining very kind of gentle support. Okay, then let's try something that is not as extreme. Let's use quite a bit support, so it's very noticeable amount of support, and then kind of try to, if you compare these two amounts of energy, the support muscle energy and subglottal pressure energy, then try to keep your subglottal pressure a little bit less, lesser degree compared to your support muscle activity. For me, might be today something like this, for instance. Be 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 be, ba 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 ba. And if I would be increasing both, ba 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 ba, be 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 be. The last one, I was already using quite a bit subglottal pressure and even more support effort to kind of make sure that I'm not like pushing uncontrolled subglottal pressure against my vocal folds. And yeah, this is pretty much the exercise to experience with. And when you kind of are getting better idea, kind of in your muscle memory, how to separate these two actions and how it feels, then you might want to experiment with your higher pitches. You can try out different mixtures of subglottal pressure and support muscle effort. So, generally, I might be going not the best one. So, I'm using pretty metallic, loud kind of sound quality, although I'm not like pushing that much with the subglottal pressure. I'm adding some to it because it helps me to actually sing those higher notes. Those higher notes require some subglottal pressure. I think I kind of forgot to say that also, as in the same way that the volume is correlated with the subglottal pressure, also the pitch level as well. The higher we go, we usually tend to use more subglottal pressure. And that's probably one thing that makes it a little bit difficult, because we have this tendency we try to kind of hail the higher notes a little bit too much with the subglottal pressure. Then we are going over the board and pushing trying to push too much pressure through the instrument. So this is where this exercise helps you, because you will learn to use sort of higher efforts, but the effort is in the support muscles instead of the subglottal pressure. So I could be going really with really big support muscle effort and still quite lowish subglottal pressure, and that would sound like, I'm actually gonna do it like this. Ba, 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 ba. So this is still pretty gentle. I'm not going ba, 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 and ba, 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 ba. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's pretty low subglottal pressure actually, and we were going. That's A4. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that was high C, and to get that high C, to be honest, I needed to push a little bit more subglottal pressure, especially since it's morning. But still, I maintained it at the level that where I'm not going, where I'm not leaning too much on the help of subglottal pressure. I maintained it at such level that I still am able to quite easily control my voice quite easily. So again, definitely this doesn't mean that we should always be singing with low subglottal pressure. That's not what you should get from this exercise. The purpose is that you learn to separate these two ideas, the support muscle activity and the subglottal pressure. But still, at the same time, you should remember that subglottal pressure is kind of the initial energy for our voice, which makes our vocal folds vibrate. And when we sing higher, we actually need that energy more. So it's definitely okay to sing the higher notes with more pressure. But when you are approaching it in a way that you kind of that's the only tool that you have in your toolbox, then things get a little bit difficult. So that is one place where this exercise might help you, because you kind of are able to use some muscle activity and even increase it quite a bit, but at the same time you're able to avoid pushing too much the subglottal pressure. So we kind of go with the idea that our support muscles can be very active, but it doesn't mean that we have to go full on board with the subglottal pressure.